Hey everybody, Kevin Hoyt of the Grassroots Warrior Network, back with the most dangerous man in Vermont state, Daniel Banyai. Are you still dangerous now that you're innocent? Just wondering.
I don't know. Maybe they're gonna call me the wimpiest now. I don't know. I don't. The titles don't bother me, Kevin. The titles don't bother me.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Congratulations right off the top. And to give everybody,
Thank
again,
you.
I'm on the road. I have horrible lighting. Hopefully you can hear me a little better. We had complaints about the mic last time. Daniel's off grid. I'm trying to use Starlink. I'm in a location right now that's quiet. Hopefully it stays quiet, but we'll see as we go. I was really excited, Daniel, because you have some awesome news. Again, you've shared it on social media. For people who don't know, you were found innocent, not guilty. You want to get into that a little bit?
Yes.
I want to hear all
Yeah.
about it.
Absolutely. You know, I really tried to send out a heartfelt message. It was the first time I ever did anything live and about myself. But the moral of the story is that I'm not guilty. I was acquitted on all charges. A lot of the judge's order, which will surface soon, through social media and the media, although the media heard 9 pages. Judge's decree was really illustrated, authored, and directed to the jurors to look at very serious components. Number one, excessive force. That Constable Thomas Cavino utilized excessive force on me. Number two is that in the essence of how I behaved, which I'm not proud of, and a lot of people, lost a lot of respect for me for that, but it was in under the judge's decree a form of self-defense. So that was number two. Number three was the arrest lawful? And under those various components of the judge's direction on guilty or not guilty, they all felt unanimously not guilty. So the component of accountability now falls back onto something you and I have been saying for years now. It kind of brought our brotherhood and love and bond together, is about these rogue, corrupt law enforcement officers. Listen, Thomas Cavino is a liar, he's a manipulator, and he's a lawbreaker. You and I don't have to convince ourselves. We know that. We've seen the documentation, we've seen the police reports, and we've seen the court orders about him. But now the world knows, right? Vermont knows. The media has been picked up, syndicated. I have a colleague of mine that saw it live on Spokane, Washington news.
Wow.
This gentleman is, a bad actor, and now he's going to feel the wrath of justice.
I sure hope so. And again, it's funny because, again, Daniel Banya was found not guilty of assaulting a dirty cop, right? It was
Correct.
self-defense again. And on the stand, we had some Grassroots Warrior Network people there too, that he lied. He out and out
Correct.
lied. Again, I see the media spin also. They're already twisting it. I mean, what do you think of that? You said no to Digger. Hats off for that.
Yeah, yeah. Digger came up to me and I said, "Who you're from?" He goes, "I'm from VT Digger." I said, "Get the fuck out of here!" And he
Right?
left the room. They're all pretty bad. I think the girl from my NBC, I have a lot of respect for her. She had some pronunciation errors, but I think she was, closer to 50% fair. If she watches this or someone can relay that to her. Rutland Herald, I actually sent him a personal email. I think he wrote a very fair uh, report, but the rest of them, he said things like Thomas Cavino was fighting for his life and trying to survive. Listen, folks, your audience, your beautiful family, and on. People saw the truth. You didn't need any narration. You didn't need any commentary. Constable Thomas Cavino came from a directive from the Town of Paulette Select Board. That Town of Paulette Select Board consists of Mr. Richard Hewlett, Mr. Bob Jones, Mr. Michael Beecher, Mr. Tom Collard, and Miss Jessica Van Ort. At that time, they gave him a directive to do whatever he needed to do to me, dead or alive, just capture the man. And, they're going to be held liable now, moving forward, along with him for these bad acts.
Yeah, I sure hope so. And again, the funny part of this whole story, and it's not funny, is the real criminals are out there. And this conspiracy that,
Correct.
again, we've talked about for years and years, it's so much bigger than the town of Paula even instantly it goes to Fairhaven, right? Fairhaven again, the
Correct.
municipality, the police department is the municipality. So when you guys go and you sue your police
Correct.
officers, you're actually suing the towns. And the towns here, both
Correct.
Fairhaven and Paula, talking about two dirty cops, really, Thomas Cavino and Bill
Correct.
Humphreys. Now, I still want to get into these guys because I don't know, DWI, that's a big deal. A lot of people have their lives destroyed. They get a DWI, they make a mistake, right? Come home on a Christmas party, whatever it is, you get picked up,
Correct.
and it devastates your lives. You just saw Thomas Cavino
Correct. Correct.
got an award from the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, MAD, right? Mr. Cavino, what is it, 4 DWIs, right?
Correct.
Is that
Correct.
how does
Correct.
how does Mothers
Yeah.
Against Drunk Driving, other than they're political now? I know that award was part of this cover up that I'm seeing. Another big thing with Thomas Cavino was the certifications. Did your attorney get into that at all, Daniel?
Yeah, he got into that briefly. The moral of the story with my judicial process is that I was just reviewing some notes today because I've got other interviews and things throughout today. Constable Cavino spent a very minimal amount of time getting educated and getting trained. What you and I are receptive to and clear on is the word constable. But I could say constable to a New York City resident or a Philadelphia resident or a Chicago, and they have no idea what that means.
Right.
What I'm going to work on is a more definitive breakdown. And Thomas Cavino said that on the stand. He's like, listen, I've only had 18 hours of training. Look at the Vermont State Police that just had their graduation the other day. New York State Police just had their graduation. You're talking about law enforcement officers that spent 9 months, the minimum, nine
Right.
months of getting the proper training, whether it be legal training, physical training, etc. We're not going to bore the audience about that. But the moral
Right.
of the story is that, this exit or this entry into this profession is really under a nefarious and condescending way because, he testified he did 18 hours of training and then every 3 years a four-hour follow-up. That's fucking
I know
ludicrous, man.
you've got thousands of hours. I'm not even an officer, and I've got thousands of hours behind a firearm when you pick up this
Right,
deadly weapon. I just saw
right,
again on Facebook, these guys, they try to do damage control. So again, not only do they
right,
give themselves awards all the time when needed, I just saw a picture of Thomas Cavino at a fishing derby, and instantly it was
right,
disturbing to me because it's two young children. They're having a great time. It's a fishing derby. Everybody knows what those are. And here is a cop that's not really a cop kneeling between two children. And the first thing I see, it's like huge, is the gun because Mr. Gavino is not supposed to have a gun.
right,
Like, I don't know how that's not
right. Yeah,
accountable.
yeah.
How?
I mean, listen, I want to go back to Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Sure.
The DARE program, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I'm in my late 50s. I'm going way back to like the 70s now, where those models were what was in school, was in our social events, our social gatherings, to look at their advocacy and respect their platforms, right? I have
Right.
a real big problem. I personally sent a letter to the director of Mothers Against Drunk Driving saying, listen, you just gave a 4-time convicted drunk driver. That, I mean, I don't know if that falls into the category of alcoholism, but there's a problem. You just gave him an award. You just tarnished the reputation of your organization and you
I
slapped
agree.
every mother in the face that lost a child or someone because of a piece of shit like Thomas Cavino. I'm sorry.
I,
Listen, one
I,
time, 2 time, 3 time, 4. Come on, when are you going to learn a lesson?
and you shouldn't have to be sorry because I absolutely
Right,
agree. I was offended by that. How many people have lost their, and by the fourth, isn't the fourth DWI that becomes a felony, which you can't have a gun for that reason either. The abuse prevention order in New York State, again, these are federal gun crimes. So if you can't have a gun in New York, you can't
right,
have a gun in Vermont either. There was an order of protection. Domestic violence, this is another
correct,
big deal in Vermont state, I know it is.
right.
Thomas Cavino, after abusing his wife,
You know,
They took his guns away, and then they renewed it, which again tells me a
Yes.
judge at some point said, okay, there's still a risk. There's still a threat to someone. This guy's dangerous. He shouldn't be allowed to have a firearm. But yet, Pollock gives him a badge and a gun. That makes no sense to me, Daniel. I think I lost you a little bit. There
Once
you go.
again, listen, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry. A little delay.
Yeah, no worries. Listen, everyone knows how I feel about anyone that touches a woman or a child. Both prisons that I was sent to, they knew to keep anyone away from me that hurt a woman or a child. And once again, it's another slap in the face for a 50, 100 mile for the whole globe. Any woman, whether it was gun related or not, but when they ask a judicial process, an oversight, the judge, the court, a system to say, listen, this guy's dangerous. Please take the tools or please take the mechanisms of how they could hurt me or hurt others away from them. 99.9% of the society complies. Not Thomas Cavino.
I know that should make people mad. How many of my friends
Right,
can't have
right.
hunting licenses because,
Exactly.
again, a drunk driving issue or some crazy thing?
Right,
But it's okay for
right.
Mr. Cavino. And it's important to note, too. I mean, we can get into Bill Humphreys, which is how Tom got in. But I got looking, how do these people get a job? And that's where I'm saying this conspiracy. This is a criminal conspiracy, giant racketeering scam by the state of Vermont, goes a lot bigger than Paula and even Fairhaven. Mr. Cavino's, I want to say, falsified career in law enforcement started in Bennington. And this is the Bennington
Correct.
County. It wraps up. Again, he started as a full-time sheriff deputy at the Bennington Sheriff's Department in 2001. He wasn't certified. He didn't have his 18 hours of official training until 2022. So how was he a full-blown deputy sheriff 2 decades before he was trained? And even worse, I mean, the town of Paula hired him as a constable. Again, I think it was 2013. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong there,
No,
Daniel.
2000. Yeah, it's 2023.
23. Okay, was that after he was
Yeah.
certified? It was. Okay. Well, and again, this
Yeah.
was,
You know what? You know better.
yeah, I think Fairhaven hired him after he was certified, but the town of Paula actually hired him. So if there's any people out there, this is a plea for Vermonters out there. It's time to stand up. You should have got behind me when I was up there running. You should have got behind Daniel, especially he was just facing. How long of a sentence were you facing, Daniel? How long were they going to put you away for? Oh, I think you locked up again.
It was 15 years.
15 years in prison. I want, hmm, I want everybody to let that sink in for a second. 15 years of prison. He was innocent, found by a jury of his peers, but
Yes.
this was a guy. I mean, I complained because I was in probate court, family court, criminal court, and civil court all at the same time. Daniel, they threw in an environmental court on top of all this, right? Like these guys are making up their own rules. They had a judge that Daniel had a permit. The judge revoked the permit 2 years after he paid money for it. This is his land, this is his property, because the town didn't like him. And again, the police officers that we're talking about, that's the bottom of the food chain, but they're the dogs. They work for someone. Daniel, you said it once, the town, right? The town of Paulet,
Right.
the Hewletts. I know, again, my Grassroots Warrior sources said they were there at the beginning of this hearing, and they must have saw how badly Tom was doing. Maybe they were even embarrassed, but they didn't hang out for the verdict, huh?
No,
They bailed early.
no. It was the Davises. Yeah, the Davis family, the Talander family, Mandy Hewlett. They're all dirty narcissists. They're scum. And I'd love to see their faces now that I won. And it gave a little bit of rejuvenation to my soul and my love for Vermont because justice was served. Listen, I'm sorry you couldn't have been there, but Cavino started lying and the jury saw it. Cavino started, trying to backpedal out of other lies. The jury saw it. And I have this feeling, say the truth, it will set you free. And the truth always comes out. And
Right.
that's what happened for me.
Yeah. No, and likewise, Daniel, I fought for years and years, decades. I hope if anything, people that watch me and follow me, they could see that there's no place for the people to go. All my Republican friends that think we can vote our way out of
Right.
this. I did the election audit, man. Like this is a massive scope. And two people, again, we talked about two dirty cops. But who is their boss? Who is really leading these guys? The towns, obviously. Well, who's the power player for your town? It's the same for my town, Daniel's town. It's your lawyer. Your town lawyer makes a huge
Right.
deal. So, in addition to these two dirty cops,
Right.
I really think we have to
Right.
name three really, really corrupt prosecutors, right? And again, one of them, the lady that was after you, Merrill Bent. She's the Bennington town lawyer. She was the Pollitt town lawyer. Again, she got an illegal PPP loan. This woman is in the middle of everything. Again, business partners with Rob Wilmington. That is Vermont Digger. The EINs. This is trouble. What do you got to say about Merrill Bent? No love there, huh?
Well, listen, Merrill Bent is an opportunist. Our investigators have worked diligently with trying to, identify her character. We spoke to professors when she went to law school. We spoke to, various different places where she interned. She's an angry woman that has some trauma or something that she just, I like to just put an umbrella, hates everything outdoors. I mean, she goes to towns to make ATV riding illegal, snowmobile riding. She hates guns. I don't know what her problem is, but what I do know is that through surfacing in her fame in, attacking me and getting the victory she has against me, other, towns, I don't know, are they liberal? Are they Democrat? Are they social? I don't know. Are they're looking at dictatorship. They're hiring her to hurt farmers, hurt other other counties with Second Amendment issues, hurt hunters and ATVers. Listen, she's out of control, and some justice has to bring her back into reality because when, like right now, I'm on a roll. I won. I'm going around the supermarket. I buy a coffee. I won. I'm on a high right now. That's
Yeah.
basically Merrill Bent with what she did to me. But as she's yelling, people are listening and they're retaining her to eradicate more rights, encroach upon more rights on people.
Right. And you're not alone. Again, that call out to Vermonters, people that live in Paula, you guys know about Thomas Cavino. People that live in Fairhaven, very,
Sure, they do.
very aware of Bill Humphreys. You guys tell me my computer blows up every time we talk about him. You're aware of Merrill Bent. And, I get in a little bit deeper than Daniel, especially when we get into DCF and child trafficking and all these things. We've connected these people through the prosecutors, right? Again, let that sink in. Law enforcement, judicial is
Right.
absolutely key. It seems to me, we've had this discussion, Daniel, that the prosecutors actually are in charge of the judges. They tell the judges what's going to do, and the judges rule, again, how it benefits the prosecutors in the system. Merrill Bent's husband is Jared Bianche, right? Mr. Bianche's the guy that came after me in Bennington. He works for Erica Marthridge. Those are our three dirty prosecutors. There's something to do with the name, too. I'm interested in what happened with the Bianche name. You've got court records now from Merrill Bent claiming she's not married. They don't live where they live. And Bianche is a made up name. Can you say anything to that effect?
Yeah, yeah. When Merrill Bent became Merrill Bent Bianchi, myself and my legal team have just addressed her as that. You have to remember as you came to the courthouse that day, my federal hearing. I still have a federal hearing going on, and I still have a state hearing going on. I won the criminal, but now I still have federal court going on against Ben. And what has happened is that she just chooses you know, what suits her and what doesn't suit her. So being addressed for like 2 years now as Meryl Bent Bianchi was fine. Earlier last month when documentation was addressed to her as Meryl Bent Bianchi in Judge Teachow's court, which is her friend, they're buddies, she snapped back and said, I don't know that last name Bianchi. It's a made up last name. I don't know the address that, you're directing paperwork to. And, but the problem is let's just say it's not true, which we all know it is true. The judge just believes whatever she says. And that's been a product of the favoritism, nepotism, and corruption. And that's what's damaging. The judge didn't say, wait a minute, I'm not going to rule on this. I'm going to find definitive. Is she a Bianchi? Is this her address? She doesn't do that. She just puts sanctions on me saying it's not true. And then me and my legal team are like, wait a minute. We've been calling her Meryl Bent Bianchi for 2 years now. We've been sending paperwork and correspondence to this address. What are you talking about?
Right. And she signs as that name and from that address. So that's what I'm saying. For her to out and out lie in court and get away with it, that's weird to me. Very weird. And I'm trying to put these things together in my head. Why do these things happen? And again, it goes back to Jared Bianchi. And
Right.
I think the sealed autopsy of his dead first wife. That's very, very odd to me that they'd have a sealed autopsy to start with. Died in her 30s, mysteriously, she just died. No one will ever know because Merrill Bass sealed them, right? Had them all sealed.
Right.
There's something there. And why is she disowning Jared now? They're not. How many people in Bennington County have been prosecuted by Jared Bianchi and Merrill Bass, Erica Marthridge? How many people
Right.
have they destroyed? Individuals and families, again, not just ATVers and hunters, but anybody doing anything. Their job is to make restrictions and lock you up and incarcerate you and make a bunch of money. We can't afford them anymore, is the way I'm starting to see this. But if anybody has any complaints against these 5 individuals, there's 5 of them now that we're going to go to, right? Thomas Cavino, William Bill Humphreys, Jared Bianchi, Merrill Bant, and Erica Marthridge. You guys know they're dirty because you tell me about it. It's time to, again, grow some testicles and stand up and tell the world about it. You guys got to do your part.
Right. Right. Listen, Kevin, just as well as I do, your audience is much bigger than mine. Your platform is, in the epic proportions. I'm just speaking out and I'm trying to, I'm trying to compel your audience to come together like you are. Listen, we're working avenues right now to find the ICU nurses that helped Mrs. Bianchi when she was dying, and we're trying to get hospital staff to be a whistleblower, and they will come forward. They will come forward. People will come forward. Listen, I've answered probably well over 1,000 messages, as of this morning. And, people are coming out all over. I spoke to a gentleman that did time, when Cavino was first a CO, and he lives in Wyoming now, and he's got dirt.
Right.
What we need to do is aggregate all of this information and then find a source, find someone that's willing to bring it to a grand jury to make an indictment, bring it to the feds, bring it to someone that's willing to say, listen, this isn't cool. This isn't for the people.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Unfortunately, and I hate to even say this, I spent, again, almost a decade now, and I couldn't find a single individual. Your senator, your
Right.
House rep, your governor, your town, your
Right.
cop, the state police. Nobody's interested all the way to the feds. I can't tell people what
Right.
I'm doing now. I told you a long time
Right.
ago, when I go dark, when you don't hear from me, that means I'm busy. I'm
Right.
doing something. I think we found help, but I don't know. So until I actually see results, we got to count on there is no help, guys. It's us
Right.
versus them. All we have is each other. And I'm counting on you
Right.
guys, the people. I know you are too, Daniel. I mean, this takes public pressure. You guys know how bad Erica Marthridge is. You know how bad, again, Thomas Cavino, Wild Bill Humphreys. This is a 2-time convicted police chief with a Brady letter. You can't make that up.
Right.
Brady letter means his
Right.
testimony, his word is no longer good. According to the state, the courts, he can't testify. Again, that's the town of Fairhaven. He's a police chief. Officer Kerber, Fairhaven. He's got a
Yep.
Brady
Yep.
letter, right? I'm assuming Thomas Covino is going to have a Brady letter. It doesn't even slow him down. They're still working.
No, no. Right. And that's the problem to your audience. I've had some people reach out to me within the last 24 hours. And they're like, listen, Daniel, I don't like your profession. I don't like what you did in your previous career, but I do like the movement that you're standing up and trying to hold people accountable. Listen, it is not normal to live in a society where people are that fucked up. I'm sorry I use the language I use, but listen,
It's true.
you could call me a flatlander. I'm a proud New Yorker, but I can tell you this: I can name every police officer that was on the department in my old community, and none of them had as much as a traffic ticket because
Right.
they were held to a higher standard.
They
Can
should
you
be.
imagine Bill Humphreys on the second conviction of giving alcohol to a minor? Why didn't the state? Why didn't the Vermont Justice Council step in and take his credentials?
Yeah. Well, and again, we've implicated the size of the scale of this debauchery is incredible. Again, when we went after Thomas Covino's records, again, per the Criminal Justice
Right,
Council and Police Academy, his career
right,
started at the Bennington Sheriff. So we went back to the Bennington Sheriff and said, hey, man, why was he fired? And how was he a sheriff,
right,
a decade before he took his first psych evaluation and 2 decades before he was certified to be a sheriff? How was he a sheriff? And we were told, well, he
right,
never worked here. We don't have any records. Well, what are you talking about? So we
right.
went back to the Criminal Justice
Yeah,
Council and they said, Kevin, we looked, we did a full investigation. It's all confidential. We can't tell you what happened, but we
yeah.
looked and there's no foul play. Everything's cool. How does how does
Well,
Thomas Covino pass a background check with abuse prevention order and a firearm restriction? Anybody watching, answer that question. You can't. It's
yeah,
impossible,
yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly. As a former federal firearms licensee, it would come up at a 4473 instantaneously, or you'd be put on a 3-day delay, and then I would know.
Right.
So listen, it's eccentric. It's an eccentric and an anomaly when people
Well,
hear it. You're right. They hear it. They're not listening to it. They're not registering it until they do a behavior like that and get a restriction. Listen, firearms are everything to me. I'm a professional
yeah.
gunfighter. Winning and not having this felony now is huge for me, right? I can get back
Yeah.
to using guns. I can get back to owning guns. And the
Right.
moral of the story is that how people get preferential treatment, it happens, and maybe some of us have been there. On the positive end of it for these perpetrators, these people are participating. Constable Covino is living large because he's got Bill Humphreys, his daddy. He babysits him. He's micromanaging him. He's the one that puts the plug in the wall and takes it out. That's the
Right.
preferential treatment. But when you got a guy like Dave Ricard, which I know you thoroughly investigated, you've said publicly you've respected him, but he's another guy that's a piece of shit signing off on him because
Yeah.
he grew up with him. He knows he's a woman beater. He
Right.
knows he's an alcoholic. He knows he's
And
a
I
thief.
wanna I
When
wanna
you
tell
don't support the positive, you're the negative.
right. And I want to just reiterate to that story too, because when we were investigating, how does Thomas Covino pass a background check? That's pretty simple, right? We found out again the certification was signed by David Ricard, who is the high constable in Pollitt. So I went to Dave. Again, Dave spoke with me, one of the first guys that actually talked back. That's where the respect comes from. But I talked to David and he said, well, I didn't do it. It was done in Fairhaven, which is back to Bill Humphreys. Well, how come Bill Humphreys didn't sign off on it then? How come he had Dave Ricard do it? And after I talked with Dave, he had a heart attack and retired. I think that speaks volumes for itself as well. So while Bill Humphreys over in Fairhaven knew and he had Dave sign off on it, so his name wouldn't be anywhere near that record. That's how they do this. But again, I think it's a bigger conspiracy. It involves, I think it goes all the way to your governor, Governor Phil Scott. What do you have to say about this debacle going on in
Sure.
southern Vermont? Becca Ballant, right? You scrappy little lesbian. Are you worried about Vermonters or just the Trump derangement syndrome? There's some
Right.
serious stuff going on right here, right? Again, the fraud, abuse, the
Yeah. Yeah.
embezzlement, money
It,
laundering. It's off the hook. Go ahead, Daniel.
listen, I used to have a lot of respect for Dave Ricard too, but now I don't have any. And he will be listed in my lawsuit. I mean, he lives
Good
in a
for you.
shitty little shack in West Paulet, but in there may be something valuable that when he becomes liable for signing off like this, it will become mine. And,
Mhm.
at the bare minimum, all of these people that think, well, I'll hide and I don't have anything, you'll hide with a heavy bill from a lawyer because
Right.
everyone will have to lawyer up and everyone will have to present the defense when my attorneys sue for millions and millions of dollars. And, Dave Ricard is notorious for doing his laundry every Sunday, and today's Sunday. He's probably right in Granville and thinking, "Oh yeah, while
I made
Covino
it.
lost, I'm still in the safe." No, you're not, because you're going to be listed. Your home
Right.
address will be listed. Your assets will be listed. I'm going to be going after everyone, anyone that promoted identification or for Thomas Cavino is going to get sued. Period.
Oh, that's good for you. And I wish you all the success, Daniel. And to be honest,
Yeah.
they don't have enough money to pay you back. I mean, a year and
No,
a
of
half.
course.
How much time did you do in solitary?
I did 120 days in solitary and I did almost a year in jail total.
Right. No Bible, which is a big deal for you. No
Yeah.
anything in
Yes.
solitary. I want
No.
people, everybody watching this again. What I want to do is I want to make this your problem. Imagine this was you 2 years after. Again, I love the scenario you used in your podcast, Daniel. You put a hot tub on your deck. 2 years later, they come
Yeah.
back and they say, "Hey, that's no good. We're not only going to take down your hot tub, but your whole house has got to go, and your grain and your
Yeah.
sheep and all your stuff too." They
Yeah.
absolutely
Right.
destroyed, your livelihood and any chances you had in the future, along with putting you down to shut you up, Daniel. That's all it was. You were the guy that was
Right.
speaking up.
Right.
They need you locked up, crazy, or unfortunately, I mean, dead. I think I've had a couple assassination attempts on my life because of the knowledge, just for simply telling people what I found, just like you.
Right.
It's a
Right.
shame.
Right. And people look at us in the negative because they feel we're tarnishing something they hold so mighty. That's not the
Right.
case, ladies and gentlemen. We're advising you, we're educating you, we're walking you to the steps to say, listen, let me pay $13 for the FOIA request. Let me go in there and sign off and show my ID to get the documentation. Let me drive a couple of miles to get the jump drive of video. The folks don't want to do that. We do it, and then they're pissed off. We're
Because we, I
telling them the
know.
truth. I mean, listen, society is going to get more and more deranged, and it's going to get more dictator. We're going to have more dictators and more dictatorship. If you don't stand up, you're weak. You're a sheep. You're going to get round up like my adopted son. He did a report one time, and he said to me, he calls me fake dad. He goes, FD, how did one Nazi walk 1,000 Jews into the oven? And I'm like, listen, Joe, that's the history, and that's terrible. Do we want to relive those type of things?
Yeah. No, there's so much shame involved with all of that. And again, this is your town. Everybody watching this, if you live in Vermont state, but it's not just Vermont,
Mm-hmm.
it's every state. So what are we going to do about it? I I went to my town and my police and I went to everybody and I didn't get much success. That's why we're coming to you guys. And I'll tell you, I tell people when they first meet me, don't Google me. It's bad, right? Because of that setup. And the
Right.
same, Daniel, I'll tell you, you're more Vermonter than most Vermonters that I know. I know the hills are filled with these patriots that really, really care, but where are you? Where are you guys, right?
Right.
You're more Vermonter than most people. And again, to be honest, you're one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Instead of judging
Thank you, man.
Dan,
Thank you.
well, and you're open, you're giving, you welcome people into your home. It doesn't matter who you are. You don't judge other people. This is what I look for in friends, and this is what I used to consider Vermonters. Very tolerant, open,
Mm.
accepting, lovable people, right? I don't know what happened to that Vermonter, so I'm glad you moved here from New York. Maybe you should have been a Vermonter to start with. But instead of judging Daniel on what you heard someone else say that probably never even met this man, when are we going to start judging people on their actions? Like Daniel just went through
Right.
the mill. I went through the mill for you guys.
Right.
I was in an election. I did an election on it. I know it was rigged. I knew I couldn't win that election. I did that to show you. I went to the Bennington Banner, Sue Allen, right? In Bennington Banner. You guys saw me in there. You didn't get the news story. Then Sue went to work for Vermont Digger. She's up there trying to take over for Rob Wilmington. Rob Wilmington is
Mm.
the old town lawyer. That's Merrill Bent's old business partner. This has been going on for decades. Your parents, your grandparents. This is, I mean, it's an abomination, and I don't recognize my state anymore, Daniel. I'm ashamed of Vermont State. I still love it. I wish I could come back. Normally, again, I'm facing right now, I got a $50 bond and a warrant for a misdemeanor, which I think I could beat, but it's not about the
Right.
warrant. It's not about that little misdemeanor that I feel like I didn't do anything. It's about turning that misdemeanor into a quadruple felony, beating the living hell out of
Sure.
me like they did to Daniel Banyai, put you in
Yes.
jail for a year and a half. And what happens to my daughter when all that happens to me? Afterwards, Daniel, did they say sorry?
Right.
Did you get
Right.
our bad? Sorry, Daniel, from Merrill
No.
Bet? No, nothing from Tom or Bill.
No.
You know, broke your what did Tom do to you? Let's get into the physical injuries that you sustained from this cop that's not a
Yeah.
cop. Let's get into that.
So so I had an ocular floor fracture. I had a craniocular fracture. I lost some teeth, and I had to have my shoulder completely rebuilt. He said that he was victimized. He had a little bump and a little bruise on his pinky finger. The jury was not allowed to hear the injuries to me, which is okay. But a jury, if it ever gets to in the federal case, when I start suing people, they will see the damage and the repercussions his actions played on me. One of the things that precipitate the problem and magnify the issue is that Vermont DOC, Department of Corrections, gave me no medical. No medical. And then when they moved me to that super maximum facility, they reciprocated the same, they paralleled the same ideology. I got no medical there. So while I lost the vision in my left eye, we have surgeons, specialists from UVM and all over that said, if I would have had a surgery within 30, 60 days, it could have corrected the problem. But because they negated my medical rights, it's a whole nother lawsuit, but they negated my medical rights. I lost the vision in my eye.
Well, and it's again the entire system. It's
Right, right.
absolutely broken. Yeah, this dirty cop that we're talking about. And
Hmm.
again, I'm gonna implore all of our viewers, anybody that sees this podcast, again, if you know Tom Cavino, if you know Bill Humphreys, Merrill Bent, Jared Bianche, Erica Marthridge, these are dirty, dirty players, and they've been on my list for a while. I tell people they're not my biggest fish, but they're trophies because they're
For
personal for me.
sure,
They made it personal by coming after
for sure.
me, but I've watched them destroy people my entire life and other people that know them. You have too. Have you had enough? I've had enough.
Right. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've had enough, but I think what is really quintessential to the success of the Vermonter, and I'm speaking very explicitly for the Vermonter because that's pretty much your network platform, and the arena or the venues that you're manifesting is circles around Vermonters. The Vermonter needs to wake up, and they really need to get behind some type of movement. I mean, look at Act 181, right? Look at Act S 59.
59.
While people are showing up, they're just keyboard warriors. What they need to do, and I've said this before, they need to show up at these people's residence. They need to show up at these people's businesses. They need to show up at where these people congregate and show them your energy, show them your freedoms. Number one, you have a freedom of speech. I don't suggest you use foul language. I definitely don't promote any violence or anger. Speak with specificity, remove the emotion, and show these political people, because they're actors. So I'm just going to say they're political actors. Show them what manifests in your mind. Show them the pathways and differences that exist between you and them. Talking shit online and going up to the Capitol, none of that is effective. Go to these people's homes, right? Get FaceTime with them. It's all legal. It's
Yeah.
not illegal, folks. It's all legal.
I know we met a couple other mutual friends, Johnny and Lillian Billowitz, again, superheroes. These guys show up at that Fairhaven
Yep.
meeting to raise shit
Yep.
every single week. Where's their support? Where
Yeah.
again, Tom
Right.
Cavino went from super cop to bulldozer driver when they wrecked their house, the town of Fairhaven,
Right.
took their
Right.
house that wasn't theirs. They had
Right.
no right to it. They can take your house too. They
Yeah.
just took Daniel's house. They're taking
Yeah.
our freedoms. They're taking our
Sure.
guns. They're taking everything away from you guys. How long are you going to put up with that? I know in Bennington, we have, again, because of the outcry, everybody's pissed off because nothing's happening, right? The catch and release programs with opioids to the actual government
Hmm.
people that we're catching, but nothing's happening. So we've come up with a police oversight. It's run by Erica Marthridge, right? And my dirty police chief,
Yeah.
Paul Doucette, is there too. They have a meeting, a town meeting where you guys can go. Go. Ask them a few
Yeah.
questions. Ask Erica about her PPP loan.
Yeah.
She's a state's attorney. No matter
Right.
what
Right.
happened during COVID, she still got paid. She did not qualify for that small business loan. She got one. That's open and shut. That's cut and dry. Erica Marthridge and
Right.
Jared Bianche photoshopped evidence and submitted it to court and got
Right.
caught. Daniel, if you submitted photoshopped, falsified documents to court, what would have happened to you?
Contempt of court, straight to jail.
Straight to
I
jail.
mean, but
No
that's the
questions
two-tiered
asked.
system, Kevin. Yeah.
Uh,
That's the two-tiered system. That's what's under the favoritism, nepotism, and corruption.
Sorry, I just had a quick question I had to do. Yeah, no, that
No.
it's the good old boys club. Let's put it in those terms because you guys
Right.
know
Right.
exactly what we're talking about. And again, it's not just in Bennington, Vermont, or Paulette, or Manchester, or Rutland. This is giant, guys. This is giant. Again, that scale, I can't tell people the scale. Again, the Hewletts, you mentioned the Hewletts, and the Hewletts have a private airport in Paulette, Vermont, where Bill Clinton was flying in to party with Mr. McChesney. You guys got to look up all these names, right? I can't tell you the scale and how big this is.
Right.
You wonder why Thomas Cavino or Wild Bill Humphreys get away with that. It's because of people like Merrill Bent. Merrill Bent and Erica get away with that because of people like TJ Donovan or Robin Chestnut Tangerman. Who names their kid Robin Chestnut
Right.
Tangerman? That still bothers me. And a lot of these people, the good news, Daniel, a lot of these people, while they haven't faced criminal prosecution, we've absolutely exposed them. And a lot of them aren't there anymore. They're gone. So I guess we're winning at least on that platform. Unfortunately, the next bad guy just replaces them, right?
Right. I just spoke to a reporter yesterday morning early about Lee Machensky, and unfortunately, that reporter was from Florida, which probably is going to spin his story a little bit bigger. But the moral of the story is that if that story doesn't reach to Vermont, it's not going to reach the Machensky family. It's not going to hit the 600-700 Paul letters and the other scumbags that hold him as like a statue, a figure. But you know, the Paul letter, right? The average Paul letter that would go to a town hall meeting or look to advocate for Lee Machensky would say things like, well, yeah, he did do that down there in Florida, but he didn't do it up here, so he's okay. But where is it okay to have consensual intercourse with an Asian human traffic chained to the wall girl of
I know.
17 years old? I don't care if you do it in California, Maine, Florida, or Vermont. It's fucking illegal,
Yeah,
period.
it's not okay. And the same, it's interesting. He was busted. There's over 100 people in that bust. Mr. Kraft, the owner of the
Right.
New England Patriots, was
Yeah,
part of
that's
that.
his buddy.
He
Right.
still hasn't been to court. Mr. McChesney passed away. But again, he was
No.
charged. Mr. McChesney was charged with solicitation of a prostitute, right? They forgot to say that he's 84, she's 17, and she was
Correct.
chained to the wall. Chained to the wall. People aren't, I mean,
Right.
maybe we don't want to hear it. We don't want to believe it. I mean, I didn't want to. I wish I didn't find this stuff sometimes. But at the same time, I'm glad I did. and it's my job now. Sorry, I'm stuck. I have to tell other people, I have to warn you, and I have to beg for your help in confronting these people. Go to your town meeting, go to these police oversight things, write a letter. It's not that hard. Actually, it's kind of fun until they target you. You've been targeted, Daniel. You know what it's like. I know I've been targeted. I can't even go back home. That's horrible.
Right. But Kevin, here's another mechanism that I want to share with your audience. We'll use Machensky and Cavino as examples here. Both of them have let's just say business entities, whether prominent or not. They're figures in a community of 50 mile radius where they're soliciting commerce, goods and services. The way to get back, folks, is don't use Machensky, Tangerman real estate. Don't
Right.
use their development. Don't use their property services. Cavino Brothers Construction. Don't hire them. Don't
Right.
solicit them. Put negative comments warning other innocent citizens. Hey, listen, maybe I didn't have them do construction, but the owner is a liar and is a criminal.
Right.
Advocate for the people with the people. I've said it all the time. If you don't like these people, don't do their dry cleaning. Don't
Well, that,
landscape their yard.
well,
Don't
that's, I was going to say,
wash their car.
you don't
Don't
have to,
bag their groceries. Yeah,
right? You don't have to make a gay wedding cake, right? Well, do you have to make a wedding cake for a
right,
dirty, corrupt prosecutor, right? Or again,
right,
Bill Humphreys
right.
is another one giving alcohol to minors twice. That's incredible to me. And I haven't confirmed it yet, but I heard one of those minors was Ashley Goodrich. Ashley's been missing for 6 years, right? And if that's true, what an implication that is. But if you have any information about Ashley's disappearance, by the way, call Bill Humphreys. That doesn't make any sense to me. I know,
Yeah,
again, I'm a reporting party for Chad Schmidt here in Bennington, our Bennington County Sexton Sheriff that we couldn't locate. And I can't tell you how many different relationships that Chad Schmidt would be in with beautiful young addicts. These young women that were addicted. Again, that was another setup. They were in a relationship with the sheriff, and then they die mysteriously, a lot of them by suicide. Guess who investigates? The sheriff. There's a problem there, guys. That's the same with, again, Thomas Cavino having a gun. This guy can't have a gun. Why does he have a gun? That's so simple to me, yet we can't get any answers. When I went to the town of both Paula and Fairhaven asking those questions, who signed off on this? I would like to see a receipt for the polygraph, right? Because again, those are expensive. You guys paid for that allegedly with your tax dollars, and it's a specialist. Who gave the polygraph? Those are simple questions. I hit them with FOIAs. It didn't matter. They pinched me in criminal court, so I had to drop
yeah,
those lawsuits. That's what happened. Again, when you go after
right.
one part of the machine of the beast, it activates all the other parts of the machine and they come for you. But again, somebody's got to stand up and do it. I'm glad I'm not alone, Daniel. You've been fighting for a long time. Again, my question for our audience is where are you guys? Where are you?
Right, right,
Time to
right.
get
And
me.
that's a big concern. You got me.
Yeah, I got you. Do you think it's just fear? Are people just
Okay.
scared? Like, I don't want to be
Well,
Daniel Banya. I don't
I
want to
think.
be Kevin Hoyt.
Well, listen, I don't. I think it is fear, but it's also a lack of motivation because they maybe think it's not going to happen to them. I've been warning. I'm having a huge podcast come out soon, which is going to really rock Vermont, and it's going to attack S59, which I bring up your name. Don't tell the people because you might know. I bring up 181, and I bring up the organizations in Vermont that are supposed to be protecting us. I call them out by name. I bring referencing to conversations that we've recorded, testimony they have said, and if it doesn't at that point, if the Second Amendment person doesn't say, "Wow, these two groups in the state are shit. They're not doing anything for us. They haven't done anything for Daniel. They didn't stand up for Max Mish." We don't have to like Max, but not standing up for the magazine ban hurt everyone. It's weak-minded people that just aren't getting organized.
That's when I became a Nazi officially. Because I did
Yeah.
stand up again. I might not
Yeah.
believe in the same things that Max Misch believes in, but I believe in the right for
Right.
Max Misch to believe in whatever he wants, as long as he's not hurting or affecting other people. You can be as dumb as you want, guys. That's okay, right?
Right.
So, and I know because I
Right.
share his rights.
Right.
What they did is they took, you know, guns versus the people, and they made it guns versus Nazis, and we fell for it. All you gun owners out there, all the gun associations in Vermont, man, shame on us. We fell for it, right? You let them take guns away from Nazis, and in the meantime, they took them away from us too. And if you think gun control's over, oh my God, you wait till you see what's coming down the pike here in Vermont State. Again, they wanna take those guns away because they know. I think what's coming when this is finally divulged, when all this truth comes out, you're gonna want to shoot people. Again, I'm with Daniel. We're not advocating for violence. But it's as simple as going to these people, go to these meetings, say something. It can be nice. Add a smile in there. Hey,
Right.
Erica, tell me about your PPP loan and grin. See what happens. You guys will watch them.
Right.
Their tails tuck and they run like the dogs that they are. And you can see guilty. If enough people started doing that, maybe we'll have. I saw Erica Marthridge actually just canceled all public events. There's nothing. It just came up recently on her Facebook. There's no more public. You can't schedule her. You can't talk to her. You can't nothing. I think that's because of us, Daniel. I think that's because of the people that are finally brave enough to stand up. I think she's in a lot of trouble and she knows it. We need to let them know we know, is my theory. What else you got to
Yeah,
say
for
before
sure.
we
The,
go ahead?
well, I'm right there with you, Kevin. My advocacy is really been revamped as I morph into a character of it's about the cause, not the character. Same thing. I tell people, you want to Google me, go ahead. But this is not about my character. This is about the cause. What am I traveling around the country? What am I getting FaceTime on, national medias and major podcasts and, worldwide sponsorship? It's really to advocate to folks that are not strong and folks that are
You.
weak and to say, listen, yeah, get behind Kevin Hoyt, get behind Daniel, get behind people that are trying to present an advocacy for change.
Yeah.
But something you just said, I want to circle back before we end, is
Sure.
this, is that going to the meetings and going to places while they're speaking, it's getting it on record,
Yeah. Yeah, it
right?
is.
That record can be aggregated 1 year, 2 years, 7 years from now. Let's just say there's a group of radical Machenskis 2, 3 years from now, human trafficking right here in Bennington or Rutland County. People could go back and go, listen, here were these bearded bastards in
We warned you.
2026 that we're warning you.
I
We're
know.
telling you, be on
Wow.
notice, but
I,
no one does.
I think you just hit a general liability. And this calls, this is
Right,
going out for the good law enforcement for all these
right,
people. And again, I'm still going to give James Gully the benefit of the doubt. I want him to be a good guy. Again, I think he's proven himself not good, at least as in not action. He's not doing what he's supposed to. You guys know about this, and that's going to come back around. When this all breaks, and it's coming, you guys aren't going to be able to say, well, I didn't know because I,
right,
Kevin
right,
Hoyt, told you. I went to you personally. I handed you this stuff and you failed to act. And I do think
right.
there's going to be some sort of an accountability and liability for that too. So we're calling on all the good guys in law enforcement to do their job. And by the way, we're going after guys that aren't doing their job. Just putting that out there. Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
the precedent that you just set
Right,
is incredible for Vermonters. I hope people realize that if you are assaulted by law enforcement in Vermont state, you can fight back. Daniel just proved that. Again,
right.
he beat the rap. He took the ride and beat the rap. It was a long journey, man. They put you through hell to get where you are. I hope you're compensated 1,000-fold because I know you're going to do good things with any money that you receive. Your community is going to be better because of it. Right now, your community
Yep.
suffers. Your community is paying a lot of money, especially in legal. Merrill Bent is making a killing
Yes.
just defending people like Bill Humphreys and
Yes.
Thomas Cavino. If you guys are sick of your tax bill, maybe this is a good place to start. We can't afford them anymore. I'll give you closing words, Daniel. What do you got
Yeah.
to say to the people?
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up, by the way. Appreciate you.
Well, listen, yeah, 100%, bro. You know, I love the love for you and for Vivian, and you know, I have a profound amount of respect for the audience, the people that are willing to listen to me, and I ask them to do this: share it with the people that don't like us, share it with the people that are against us, because maybe, just like a church sermon, if you're in there for 45 minutes and you only hear one little bit of piece that resonates or hits home, that's all that's important. The movement is we the people, and we the people can make a difference. I'm grateful.
Thanks for joining me. I'm grateful too. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks everybody for watching. Absolutely share this and stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you later, Dan.